All right, 𝗂𝒂𝗍𝗂 is joining.
Okay. Hi, 𝗂𝒂𝗍𝗂. Are you here?
Hi,
Hey.
how are you? Morning.
Yeah. Okay, just a minute. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for joining, 𝗂𝒂𝗍𝗂. We are really excited to have you here. And it must be very late over there, right?
Yeah, it's almost 10 p.m.
PM.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, 𝗂𝒂𝗂, for making the time at this very late hour. So,
Sure.
and great to see you. Hope you had a great Christmas and New Year.
I did. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So we also have another of our speaker here, Dr. Nova, just to introduce 𝗂𝒂𝗍𝗂, like all the speakers that we have currently. And let's see who else is here.
Hello, 𝗂𝒂𝗍𝗂.
Hello.
Okay.
Hi.
So maybe I can take this time to tell more about 𝗂𝒂𝗂. So she's also studying in Concordia like me. So she's also a graduate student, but she's a quite known figure because she has single-handedly built a movement back there in Montreal for accountability of the adult content side. So I was really inspired by her. I have been following her for maybe last 2 or 3 years. So we all have been joining her movement. Every month we do some protest. Previously it was every week. And actually, there is a lot to tell. So thank you for joining us, 𝗂𝒂𝗂.
Yeah, I have heard about you from Adim. So we are very inspired because these things need voices.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Very
Yeah.
proud of. And I'm glad that we got to know you because I've heard of you and
Yeah. All the way from over here in Canada.
Okay, I guess Jason has also joined us. Hi, Jason.
Hello. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, thank you so much, Jason. It should be 3 a.m. right now in Germany, I guess.
Yes.
Or
yes, I am in Germany.
Yes. Oh.
Wow, thanks a lot
Are
for
you
joining.
nocturnal or you woke up for this?
Yeah, I woke up for this, but it's part of the global world we live online. So I'm just excited to be a part of this. This is incredible what you guys are all doing in Bangladesh, and thank you for inviting me.
Jason, you look very different from the photo here. Many things are not here.
Yeah, so thanks, Jason. I mean, we are exactly looking ahead. In fact, Senator 𝗲𝗡𝗍𝗂, maybe you know her, she was also wishing to join the event to listen to you, but she might have some other engagement. So she will check the recordings later. But here in Bangladesh, we are all so excited to see you both here. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And meanwhile, I can introduce some of our colleagues here. So as you see, Dr. 𝗂𝒂𝗍𝗂 𝗵𝗂, she's a professor in 𝗧𝗹𝗸𝗀 University, and there is also a lot to tell about her. I don't know where to start, but I mean, she has been doing marvelous work here in Bangladesh about this stuff. She works with human-computer interaction and so on. So I will get out of words if I start telling about her. Also, I have my other friends, Dr. Lamia and Ashfia. They are also faculties in 𝗧𝗹𝗸𝗀 University. They all are very enthusiastic and they work with IEEE Women Engineering. So I guess it's a good chance for us to get connected and maybe not only for this event, doing something together in future as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rafaela, is the weather better this week in Montreal?
Oh, it's gotten colder again. Yeah,
Oh, no.
it
I hope not.
it went to positives and all the snow melted and it was really crazy. It was like early December. It felt like it didn't feel like January. And then and it's a little colder now, but I think it's going to be very up and down.
Yeah.
When are you coming back?
This Sunday.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so hoping for a better weather next week.
Yeah.
𝗂𝗂𝗿, are you studying abroad in Canada?
Yeah, in Concordia.
Okay.
Right now I'm in Bangladesh. I'm visiting here. I will be back this week, this Sunday.
That's wonderful.
Here in Bangladesh also we had a colder week, but relatively. So obviously it's not like below zero, but still it was cold. So it's been a harsh winter all around the world.
Yeah, here in Germany in the north right now, it just rains nonstop, and it's always 1 degree, so we don't get snow, but it's just freezing cold out and wet all the time.
Oh man, that doesn't sound that fun.
No, not in the winter time. If it's gonna be cold, it at least has to have snow so it can be nice out with the kids and stuff. But when it's just muddy and wet outside, it's yeah, I can imagine in Canada, because I have my family in Chicago and some colleagues that work in Michigan that have described very, very cold weather. And I think most of the cold weather comes from Canada. It floats over from Canada to us. So you were probably all very used to it by now.
I think you can never quite get used to it. I forget every year how harsh it can be.
Like here in Dhaka, we had maybe 12 degrees, plus 12. Still it was cold because people here are not prepared for the colder season. We don't have like heaters at homes, so it's very harsh for the people who are not that privileged. So it's a problem.
It's a tropical country. It's almost similar weather all year round, but now it's getting very extreme heat and extreme cold. Like the climate change impacts are coming out faster than we thought.
Wow.
Okay, so it's 8:59. Ashfi, I guess we can get you ready. We can start the session on time. We have some audience also, so we can start from 9 maybe.
Okay.
That sounds like a good idea. We also have our the Facebook Live going on. Ashfia?
Yeah.
If 𝗂𝗂𝗏, can you confirm me?
Thank you.
So much. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I'm Ashfia Habib, working as a full-time faculty member at North-South University from last 5 years. Apart from the faculty member assistant professor, I happily want to mention that I'm the faculty advisor of North-South IEEE Women in Engineering. So IEEE Women in Engineering Affinity Group in Bangladesh had started in 2011. And now Women in Engineering Affinity Group IEEE Bangladesh section has more than 10 student branches. In North-South University, we formed this group on June 2016 with only 7 members, but now we have more than 200 members. And we actually support members, male and female both, through organizing different kinds of seminars, panel discussions, workshops, different awareness sessions. The aim is to ensure highest female participation in engineering field, in technical field as well, to encourage males to support their female friends and release in engineering and technological fields. We encourage all women from every part of the society through different humanitarian activity as well. So today's event is about safe internet, social needs, and technological readiness. So internet, very common word, right? The global system of interconnected computers. Is it safe for us? Do we feel safe here? What are the parameters to make it feel safe? If we ever feel that it's not safe, whom to connect, whom to reach for? What are the things that we will be looking when we will be using internet? So all these things will be described, discussed in this section of our safe internet. So let's start with our very own Dr. 𝗂𝗏 𝗖𝗵𝗶 Miss. Dr. 𝗂𝗏 𝗖𝗵𝗶 is a professor and a researcher. She is working in 𝗖𝗚𝗍 department of NSU, North-South University. Her research is focused on systems, humans, and the work that lies in between to connect humans with computing. She is passionate to engage women and children in computing, STEM, and programming. Recently, she has received Google South Asian Research Award, which is focused on supporting exceptional computer science research in this specific region. So I will first we will hear from Dr. 𝗂𝗏 𝗖𝗵𝗶. But before that, I would like to invite invite Mr. 𝗧𝗹𝗻𝗀 to talk about something, all the basics of safe internet, what he has figured out, what are the things we will be needing to talk all over today's discussion. So let's hear from Mr. 𝗧𝗹𝗻𝗀.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ashfia, for the lovely introduction. And it's so lovely to see you all such beloved faces. So before further talk, I would like to go to my presentation, which is quite short. So let me go there. So is my screen visible to everyone? The PowerPoint, can you see that?
It's still starting. Yes,
So,
I think we can see it right now.
Yeah, okay, that's great. So my name is 𝗧𝗹𝗻𝗀. Right now, I am a doctoral candidate in Concordia University, Canada. But of course, I belong to Bangladesh. I have worked here for long. And also now I'm here in Bangladesh on vacation, or sort of vacation, and meeting my very beloved people, so as you see. So actually, prior to this event, we ran a survey. The title was Safe Internet, Our Perception. So the way we did this is actually we carried it among students of North-South University. As you know, this event is being hosted by North-South University Women Engineering Group. So for last around 1 week, we carried this online survey, and we are so happy to have big number of responses, 203 responses. So that's actually huge within this short period of time. So we would like to thank the respondents and the NSU IEEE team for their great effort. So very quickly, we had 60%, around 60% male responded, around 38% female responded, and some others, like around 1%. So it's a nice distribution. We have both genders. Also, we asked them that what's their frequency of internet usage. So we also got good feedback there. For instance, that most of them, they use internet for at least 3 to 4 hours per day. And also they are using it in other frequencies. So this is apart from their work purpose. So this is the time they use for academic, for their leisure or social work. So as you see that there are very high frequent internet users, 3 to 4 hours per day. Now coming to the questions that actually what then they feel about online safety. So the first question was quite interesting, that when we asked them that what they think about the online safety, how did they learn about that? So as you see here, most of them said that they have learned it by themselves, 57.64%, which is more than half. They are saying that they learned about online safety while exploring by themselves. They did not rely on any formal or informal learning. And also the second highest was that they learned from their family, friends, or others. So this is actually quite interesting, that people are learning about online safety, but maybe they are learning either by themselves or by their circle. And very few, just around 7.3%, they got formal education. And also around 8% said that they never had a chance to learn it. So this is something we need to consider as we move on. Then the next question was that did they become learner or teacher or educator? Like, did they try to teach others about online safety? And the good thing is, almost 83% said that yes, we did tell others, we encourage others about online safety, which is a quite good sign. So the other one was it was a sort of technology related question. So nowadays we have different technologies like multi-factor authentication, fingerprint, facial image, voice, or so on. So we asked them that are they familiar with this? So the good thing is most of them are familiar. They know about fingerprint, MFA, facial image. Of course, this is the Generation Z, so they are more tech savvy than we are. So we can expect that they will be more familiar with these technologies, so which is good. Okay, the next thing is the other about the rules. Like, for example, all of this youth, they use social media, and social media has a minimum age. So this is something we have been working for long in Canada and other sites, age restriction. So here is also their good awareness. Like most of them, almost 86% said that yes, we are aware of this minimum age requirements when we use their social media accounts, so which is a good sign. Okay, then comes an important question that when they face online safety issues, so where do they go? So suppose they face harassment, threats, or privacy breach. So how do they address these things? So again, there is good feedback. Most of them said that yes, we are confident we can deal with such scenario, or even not, we can know where to seek help. And few of them said that no, we are not aware. But in general, almost 80% said that yes, we can deal with these things, which is again a good sign. And the next part is we asked about that what is the about the blocking. Like nowadays there are blocking policies, especially in Bangladesh. The adult sites are by default illegal, so they are supposed to be blocked. So we asked them, do you think if the blocking works or not? And they said, yes, it's fine for us. We have no problem with blocking. But some of them also said that blocking may not be enough. It can be bypassed, so we need better solution. And very few said that internet should be open and free for all. So I guess it can be something interesting for Rafaela, Jason, and others, because often we face this argument that we should not restrict internet, or we should have, how to say, freedom of choice. But here in South Asian context, most of these people in this survey, they are okay with the blocking or the restriction. So that's quite interesting. And the next one is, online identification. Here also, most of the people are okay. Almost 90% said that yes, we are free with online identity. We can identify ourselves. So there's also a positive sign. So those were the questions, and I just went quick because we need to hear from our keynote speakers. But if I try to make a very fast summary, so there are very positive outcomes. Most of these respondents, they are university going people, aged from 18 to 23 around. So they know where to go in case of online harassment. They are comfortable with blocking, with age verification, with online identity. So those are really positive signs. The other interesting part was awareness. So half of these people, they never had a chance to learn about online safety, which is interesting. So that means when they were growing up, they did not get any formal or informal education. But when they started using internet, that's how they learned. So maybe there's something we should consider in Bangladesh or other places, that we really need to spread in online safety. We need to talk more about it. And I guess later in this event, we have our panel speakers. So maybe they can talk more about that how we can establish better learning mechanism for online safety in Bangladesh. So that was all from now. And thank you again. I hope you all can talk about it and ask us further questions later in the session. Thank you.
So since we have heard from
recording in progress.
Since we get to know about safe internet and the survey from 𝗧𝗹𝗸𝗀𝗀, so let's first go to Dr. 𝗧𝗹𝗶𝗲𝗄𝗻. As I have already mentioned, that Dr. 𝗧𝗹𝗶𝗲𝗄𝗻 is a professor, and she's a very fine researcher. She received Google South Asian Research Award, which is very much focused on supporting exceptional computer science research in this region. And she's also working as a full-time professor in the ECE department at North-South University. So, Dr. 𝗧𝗹𝗶𝗲𝗄𝗻.
Thank you, Ashfia, and thank you, everyone. Good morning from Bangladesh. I know it's not morning in many other places. Thank you, IEEE Bangladesh section, Women in Engineering Affinity Group. I'm very happy to be with you all. And So what I will do is I will share my research experience. I work with human-computer interaction side. So I will talk about the impact, because we know that these using online safety and the experience actually greatly changes what we are doing currently, and things vary according to various age group, various experience. For example, a university going student studying in computer science can adapt their usage, but somebody from different background can have very different experience. So I will share experience. One is working with teens, one is working with women, one from the underprivileged group who do not have any formal education. And the last one will be a policy level research that one of the advocate helped me with. So she is a barrister. So that will be the last step. And we will see that there is a big gap in what we experience and at the policy level. So that can probably help you for the later discussion sessions. And if you have any questions, I will be very happy to answer that later on. So first, I started with exploring teens' internet usage, because we were worried about the sudden rise in internet usage. And I was very eager to find out, because teens are the ones who are pre-internet use. So they will be using it, but they don't have all the background and experiences. And the best motivation was, at that time I had 2 teen daughters. So I thought this is the perfect time to explore it, and my students also wanted to see it. And what we found out that across the teens in Bangladesh, it's not representative, it's on a small sample. So we cannot say it's the whole picture, but we can get a glimpse of what's happening. So it was very different for English medium students and Bengali medium students. For English medium students, we found out that they are very online active. And so what scared me most were the teens were online, but the parents were not aware of that. The teens would share experiences like, my mom thought I'm studying, but actually I'm playing, and the time of usage was really long for some of the teens. And what was worrisome was, it was very different for Bengali medium students, where the parents varied the internet exposure for male and female children. So the male Bangla medium children were exposed to internet, but parents were very restricted for their daughters. They thought that internet can spoil them, internet can be bad for them, and it looked okay from the parents' perspective, probably. But what happened was, these are the girls who were actually the ones not being exposed to internet early enough. And when they were later on exposed to internet and they had to use it without having that previous exposure, they were the ones who were easy victims of the harassment and abuse. So because I started working with women before I started working with teens, I knew that women are actually one of the major target of online abuse. And one of the major reason was lack of exposure, lack of experience, and also the social culture that boys often gather and share experiences. Parents are very restricted about their girls, and that's also the sharing happens at much lesser extent. So it led to our later exploration that how women are easy victims of this online abuse. And we actually thought internet is such an important resource for us in terms of knowledge exposure, knowledge sharing, networking, where actually we need more and more connections. We can, for example, now I'm connected to people from Germany, Canada, and Bangladesh. And it's what an opportunity for us to share all. And if we think that internet is not a good place, we will be actually putting ourselves in cages rather than opening up the windows and doors. So it was a place where we needed to look in more depth. So before I go into the policy level exploration, let me share a little bit more on how the experiences affect people. So during the COVID period, I was studying across Bangladesh to find out how the same thing, why certain people are not using internet as much as the others are, because the gender diversity and everything is very different in South Asian region. So as a part of that research, I found out that people who have lesser experience with the internet, particularly the marginalized community in terms of internet usage, or the people who are not formally educated, they are very easy victims of internet-based scams. And it increased a lot during this COVID period. During this time, people were exposed more towards technology, and those who did not have the adequate exposure, they were easy victims of these online scams, online-based harassment, abuse, and particularly monetary loss. This was a major problem. So as we were exploring all these things, we found out facing the same abuse, maybe a boy received something and a girl received something, a man received something, a woman received something, but the outcome of that experience is very different for men and women, considering our social cultural setup. We found out that when it's an abuse, an online abuse or online bad experience, for women, for the family and herself, they are finding themselves guilty and they're putting like, okay, it's a bad thing to use the internet. And often we have seen women removing their accounts from social media, from online media, and decreasing the number of hours they're using it, putting it into a black box, like, oh, it's something bad. On the other hand, the openness was found more, or from the families also. And same for the lower literate people. Again, once they have lost some money over some scam or some online call or something over the technology, they will say, oh, this technology is so bad, rather than getting to know how to solve it, because it has so many other good uses of it. So the seamless transfer, everything open to it, that will be overshadowed by the bad experience. So as we were exploring that, I was lucky to have a barrister working with me. She is a barrister from High Court, and she wanted to explore the ICT acts that protects us. And we only looked at the online abuse and online harassment made during the COVID period. We actually looked at the data for only 1 year, the first year of COVID period, and we found out that very few people actually made a formal complaint to the ICT tribunal. So there were only 300 cases, formal cases, and most of the cases were not prosecuted. They were all actually dismissed before the case could go on to the trial. And what happened was, when we explored case by case, we wanted to see what is happening to them, because we wanted to do some data analytics, because one would actually go for the case when it's really severe. And those 340 something cases were filed by female victims or female victims' parents. And they were actually dismissed because either they were settled out of the court by the abuser, or they were actually dismissed because lack of evidence. So what happened was, the ICT tribunal was not equipped with the adequate ICT knowledge. And when the cases were filed, they would, if it's a Facebook-based abuse, they would write an email to Mark Zuckerberg. And because Mark Zuckerberg did not reply them back, they would actually dismiss the case. So this is the level of knowledge of our ICT level personnel. So along with that, we also attended few of the awareness sessions that were arranged by policy level people. And I found out one minister inviting all the government school children. They were all wearing school dresses for government schools, and very young at age. They were pre-teen or teen, and the government official was telling something like this: internet is very scary. very bad. Be aware, be careful. And when you do that to young children, I was actually really scared to join the internet, just let alone those little kids. So what I think we need is, we need to have open discussions. We need to have more awareness, but we cannot say that you cannot use it. We have to keep it open and give you the equipments to handle it with care, handle it with awareness, because I think we should not put a barrier there. And because we have a big gender segregation, big resource segregation, people who need it more are the one being deprived more. So yes, I will leave the problem to you all, because I think we are like small dots, things that I cannot solve, and as a single dot, we can do a lot when we are all together. So I'm very excited to be with you all, and I'm humbled, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. 𝗂𝗏 𝗔𝗂𝗄. This keynote talk was by Dr. 𝗂𝗏 𝗔𝗂𝗏 and was on online safety, gender, and age dynamics. Same situation, we have learned this, right? Same situation, but different treatment in different gender leads to different approach while we are using online and when we are thinking of online safety. So next session will be our keynote talk 2. It will be by Mr. Jason Frost, and it will be on empowering youth to combat digital exploitation. So before going to Mr. Jason, our moderator, 𝗧𝗹𝗏𝗂𝗍𝗂, he will talk a little bit about Mr. Jason Frost.
Adib is probably not connected at the moment, but
okay,
that's okay. We can actually go ahead with something that we are we haven't done. First of all, we could take questions for our first speaker, Dr. Nova, because I'm pretty sure that the talk was so full of interesting experiences that she shared, number one. And number two, before we take the question, perhaps we can give her a small token of appreciation that we have for her. Ashvia?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Nova, for really setting the tone of today morning, evening, or late night at Germany, but for this event. Just a very small token of appreciation from us. I have our organizers have made a small
token of appreciation.
Yes, that we would like to share. And let's say, hold on. This is just the new post-pandemic online thing that we do these days. Let's see. Here you go. So what here's the thing that we usually do. We present our appreciation, we all smile, and somebody takes a pretty picture of every one of us. So that's our memento, okay?
Oh, okay.
So here you go. So this is for you. And please consider this given from us to you. And now we all smile. Hold on. And Iftikhar, have you been taking a photo?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So do we have our speaker, Dr. Nova, and everyone over there in the photo?
I think he does.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Got it. All right, cool. Okay, so that's great. So thank you. Ashvia, we can then move on to our next speaker.
Okay, since 𝗬𝗏𝗂𝗏𝗂𝗍𝗂, our moderator, joined us, so he will tell a little bit more about Mr. Jason Frost. We already know about Mr. Jason Frost, that He's a co-founder of 𝗂𝒂𝒔𝒐𝗿, author and activist. Mr. Adib, could you please talk about Mr. Jason Frost a little bit before moving on to his keynote talk, which is on empowering youth to combat digital exploitation?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ashia. And 𝗂𝒂𝒔𝒐𝒏, thank you so much. You perfectly set the tone, and I think we can carry on from there. It was so inspiring to hear from you. And now I guess we will be happier to hear from Mr. Jason Frost. So again, he has a big profile. I will just share a quick summary. So Jason Frost is an author. He is co-founder of the non-profit organization 𝗬𝒂𝒔𝒑𝗄𝒻. So if we go to 𝗬𝒂𝒔𝒑𝗄𝒻.org, we can find it there. So he has been doing a lot of amazing work regarding online safety, especially for kids and youth. And together with his wife, Lisa, he wrote the book. The name is The Glass Between Us, Empowering Youth to Combat Digital Exploitation. So he has been powering a lot of initiatives in US, in Canada, also in Europe regarding online safety. And we will learn more about him from that. So Jason, it's up to you, and we wait to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Habib. Wow, what an honor to be here today. By today it is 4:30 in the morning, so I'm off to a great start to my day, and I just felt like Professor 𝗂𝒂𝒏 you really summarized that wonderfully and brought a lot of balance to this conversation. So thank you so much for that as well. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So we can get the PowerPoint up. And I hope everybody can see it okay. All right, empowering youth to combat digital exploitation. I'm just going to take a quick look at the time to make sure that I save time for my other colleagues. So I don't know if you can see it. There might be the camera in the way, or the red letters. It says childhood is not for sale. And I think that's a really important statement before I get started, that everybody can be thinking about today. Childhood is not for sale. And it really goes in line with this next slide, is that when we think of the internet, oftentimes, for those of us that are a little older and are not youth, we're thinking of an information sharing network where you could access information on Google, express ourselves through the freedom of expression, and take advantage of a whole bunch of different human rights that the internet has readily made available to us. But the problem is that in today's age, and the internet that youth are born into, that internet is largely no longer existent in the way it once was. And the reason is because there are very different driving forces behind the web that are dictating how youth are using that. And those driving forces come in the form of algorithms that are designed to monetize users, especially children, by keeping them engaged and profiting by the hundreds of millions, the tech companies that are creating this technology. And so what we're really seeing with youth, we just did a Fox News interview in the USA, talking about the 500% increase in self-harm associated posts on Twitter from youth. And what we're finding is that these algorithms are not taking into consideration the well-being of youth, but what they're doing is they're trying to drive attention and hold youth captivated by design to these products as long as possible, because the longer they're engaged, the more advertisement they're seeing, the more data these industries are collecting, and the more profitable it is. And so what we're looking at is something that starts off with a youth looking for fitness on Instagram and wanting to know how they can get fit or how they can do new exercises. And that fitness algorithm then recognizes that they're interested in possibly the way they look. So it starts sending them posts on diet. And the minute they look at a diet of what to eat, they start getting overwhelmed with new posts to look at that are associated with foods to eat and how to be healthy. And that eventually leads to posts that are associated with bulimia or starvation and eating disorders. And so they go down that rabbit hole of eating disorders, which then leads them to self-harm. and depressive symptoms and all kinds of things that we're seeing arising in mental health among youth. And then ultimately that leads to this rabbit hole of the algorithm, bringing them to content of suicide. And in the United States right now, suicide is the second leading cause of death of young people in the US, and it even has affected our life expectancy in the US, not because older people are dying younger, but young people are choosing to end their lives sooner. And we're seeing that the internet is actually like pouring gasoline on the fire of mental health that we're crisis that we're experiencing through COVID. And it is inherent in its design right now through algorithms and monetization to be very harmful to kids for profit. And so we're seeing through social media use, children born into the digital age are seeing a heavy rise in depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation, emotional dysregulation, poor sleep, online harassment, low self-esteem, and poor self-perspective of their image. And even limiting social media has been proven to decrease loneliness and depression. And we're finding that the windows that our kids are most vulnerable is, interesting enough, between 14 and 15 of males and 19 years old, which is when they leave to college. And females is 11 and 13, and also 19 years old when they're in college learning to do a lot of this
Recording
on their
in
own.
progress.
And the reason that we're finding that the internet can be so destructive to the development of youth in many ways when it comes to social media and interacting on these sites is because it ultimately is a measuring system of human value. And the problem is you cannot measure human value. It is inherent in our human rights. It is inherent as who we are as a people and a society, that that we have an inherent human value that cannot be measured and that does not have a price on it. But the internet is constantly giving kids the more skin or the more risque they dress online, the algorithms pick it up and the more success they'll have. So it's rewarding teenagers and children oftentimes by encouraging them to take photos of themselves and to engage in unhealthy behaviors online with the reward of getting more likes, getting more followers, and even being able to monetize their accounts online. And this is having quite extensive ripple effects on the mental health of teens and kids. And we can see that as they are identifying themselves and their value online, that things like suicidal ideation and a whole bunch of different types of neurological mental health disorders are arising because of what the impact of these algorithms are having on childhood development. And just a great example of that is the wide access to over 600 million kids that are online globally have to pornography. And we know that from studies that have been done that 88% of the most popular pornographic material is loaded with violence and aggression towards women. And this is a huge problem. And we can see, for example, that Billie Eilish, I'm sure you have all heard of her. She's an American singer-songwriter. She has over 100 million followers on Instagram. And she came out saying this recently: I think porn is a disgrace. I think it really destroyed my brain. Keyword, destroyed my brain. The first few times I, had sex, I was not saying no to things that were not good. It was because I thought that's what I was supposed to be attracted to. And so we're finding that the internet, when kids are born into the digital age without education, without safety parameters, without safety designed into the technology they're engaging with, that is having profound impacts on their actual development. And we know this because when you look at the way the brain works, that when dopamine, which is the reward that the brain releases for certain behaviors, is released in the brain, it actually creates very, very powerful neurological connections in the brain between what was done, or what the child was engaging in, or what the youth was engaging in, and the reward they receive for that. And so an example of this is that 90% of alcoholics or people addicted to drugs actually were engaging in the behavior before 18 years old. And we're finding that it has a profound, that engaging in certain behaviors, unhealthy behaviors in childhood, has a profound impact on adulthood and their chances of becoming addicted to that behavior. And big tech, so Facebook, TikTok, and all these companies that are out there, Instagram, they have a playbook that they're leaning kids into to be able to exploit and be able to profit from their engagement, which is habituation, where kids are engaging in a certain product or a certain idea of what they're presented online, and go down a hole of trying to recreate that dopamine experience constantly, whether that be through gaming, whether that be through likes on social media, and especially in the case of pornography, which usually leads in many cases to a profound sense of emptiness. And within that emptiness of I'm trying to create fulfillment, I'm trying to experience fulfillment online, but I can't find it, it starts to break down and erode identity. And that is where the tech industry can be very manipulative by engaging in releasing messages about what it means to be beautiful, about how the values that they believe that kids should be learning, and not through families and in our own countries that we come from. And a great example of this is that we see a huge epidemic right now in young men that are experiencing erectile dysfunction by years of porn use, and then in their early 20s are unable to have a normal sexual relationship because of the damage that pornography has done to their brains. And there's even a lot of research coming out right now where we're seeing a pseudo borderline personality disorders, or DID, dissociation identity disorder, and many, many others, because it's not following typical pathology. It's children in the internet age coming out and saying way later out down the line that before social media, they were healthy. They got on social media, they started using the internet and went down these rabbit holes of algorithms. And now all of a sudden, without any normal pathology, have a profound case of borderline personality disorder. And they know that it wasn't originating from childhood, it was originating from their use with the internet. And when you remove the internet and you remove social media, that a lot of the disorders also go away. So that is a very profound finding. And so if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, there is actually a lot of hope. And so in these last 5 minutes here, I'd just like to share some ideas that we have at Wired Human that we think is really effective for empowering kids. And it starts with really tackling this at a societal level and at an industry level. And so in order to get our power back, in order to help kids find their power online, and just like we were talking about before, that the internet is a profoundly useful tool for human rights and for the basic necessities of living in today's society, we cannot keep kids offline, but we need to create a space for them that is where they can profit from the use of the internet without falling into exploitation. And so really what we're seeing is on one end, a downstream problem, or an upstream problem, where government and tech industry, so policy and the way the tech industry is creating their products, is creating a lot of pollution in the water, to say, where kids and parents are on the other end of this, and they're having to navigate, how can I go online, or how can I have my kids online and be safe? And there comes a point where if there's so much pollution, and the industry and the policies that are made are so destructive, that it overwhelms kids and parents to be able to safely and effectively have their children online, to be able to reap the benefits of the internet that we talked about earlier. So we really see it as to empower youth online. It's a three-legged stool. One is education. Kids need to be educated and equipped to be able to know how to make great choices online. That's something we talk about a lot in our book and in a lot of talks that we do at Wired Human. I don't have time to dive into the whole thing today because we just have a few minutes left here. Parental guidance is critical. Parents need to be able to have the space to help their kids and train their kids to use the internet safely, but they also need to be educated and understand what tools are available to them. And then accountability at a government level and a policy level to tech industries to start implementing what we call safety by design. And I'm going to jump over to that. I love this quote here. An organization called In Hope said, safety by design is an approach which puts user safety and rights at the center of the design and development of the products and services. The goal is to anticipate, prevent harm which might occur while using products rather than trying to implement remedies after the harm has occurred. And so we see this, like, for instance, with pillows, right? You have in America gigantic tags that are the size of an essay or a master thesis to say of all the ways this pillow could kill you if you're not careful. In fact, if the distributor of the pillow removes the tag, they're putting themselves in at odds with the law that it says they can actually be criminally prosecuted. Then you move to the car industry. Nobody would drive a car today without airbags or seatbelts or go on a road without speed limits. It is inherently designed. In fact, cars were 96% more deadly in the United States when they came out in the 1920s than they are today. And if you were going to take those numbers, you would have about 1 million deaths if we never improved car safety a year in the United States, which today cars are very safe. And the cinema, kids have to show ID if they want to go see certain content. They can't see it unless they're 17 years or older or with a parent. But why not internet technology? Why is this not something that we're designing into social media and designing into the industries that are making hundreds of billions of dollars, aren't putting any of those profits towards designing safer technology for kids online? And really what safety by design looks like is it's taking into consideration when I create a product like TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, how is this working to for educators to be able to teach the safety features? Are these safety features effective? Are they teachable? Is it something that we can put into curriculum in schools? It's the tech industry taking into consideration that the safety features of this product should be easily accessible and easily able for children and youth to learn. Second, is there tools for parents that parents can provide proper guidance? If parents do not have tools or easily understandable ways of protecting their kids according to their maturity and growth, this stool, as you can see, the three-legged stool will not stand if parents are not empowered and equipped. And thirdly is equitable. The reason is that the tech industry needs a regulation, and a lot of them would like that, but nobody wants to be the first one to invest the money and finances because it puts them, it makes it unfair if other tech companies don't have to invest those, are not required to invest in safety by design. They can save the money, they can earn more and have an edge over the competition. So really what the tech industry, I would say, is asking for is a sense of regulation to make it even across the board, that all tech companies are having to follow the same rules and make similar investments, just like the auto industry has to do. You can't have Ford follow different rules than Mercedes. They all have to be safe. And so everybody's investing in the money into those safety features. And what we're really finding, the only way, and this is what I want to end with, the only way to achieve this goal in what we're doing at Wired Human is to create spaces where we can bring in all stakeholders, advocates, tech industry, youth and kids, legislators, academics, and even people from the entertainment industry to come together to have real discussions about how we can start to create safety by design, and how each stakeholder can voice what their needs and desires are to come to common agreement. And the only way we feel that this is possible, and so Wired Human is actually hosting in Washington, D.C. in February, our first roundtable where we've invited tech industry leaders, political leaders, advocates, and many, many more academics across the nation to come and join us for a discussion of meeting and having a very child-centered approach, that everybody at that table is going to speak on safety by design by saying kids before profits. Kids will be the central focus of how we talk. And the truth is even the tech industry, Steve Jobs did not want his kids having iPads or iPhones. And Melinda Gates said that navigating the digital age for her kids was one of the greatest challenges she ever faced. And so they understand inherently well that kids are important. And I think if we can all come together on our value for youth and children online and agree that they deserve an internet where they can enjoy the benefits without being exploited, and come together in a way that we can partner as mothers and fathers first not disgruntled competition with each other of the advocates yelling at the tech industry and the legislators not taking the needs of youth and parents seriously, but really coming together and saying, we want a child-centered approach moving forward. So I'd encourage every country in Bangladesh or anybody else listening that these roundtables are critical. And if you're interested in learning more about our model on how to do it, or even coming to DC to be a part of one of our roundtable discussions, I would personally love to hear from you and talk to you about it more. But I see a lot of hope in this. And I think just like the car industry had to innovate and become 96% safer, so does the internet and the tech industry, so we can reap the very best benefits of the online world for our children, and they can develop to adulthood in an exploitation-free environment. Thank you.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Jason. And firstly, thanks to join here at this time of here in Germany. It's midnight, so we are so privileged that you could manage to join us. And I think the audience is so inspired. They might have some more questions. So, okay, so I guess we have some e-certificate for you, the online mechanism. So maybe we can share that.
Right, of course. I'm sharing that. And as I shared that, I just have to say this was a very, very informative talk too, especially right after Dr. Nova's talk, where we heard about the Bangladesh scenario, and Jason's talk at the beginning just let me understand that what a global situation it is, ensuring online safety for children. And I think as academicians or researchers, we are still just playing catch up. But it would be great to see, it was hopeful to see all the solutions, the three approaches that Jason, you offered. So it would be nice to see whether it could be applied in Bangladesh too. So yeah, so really thanks a lot for your wonderful talk. And here is a very small token of appreciation from us. Let me share the screen.
You're very kind. Thank you.
There you go. And
I will take a snap now, please, if you're ready. 1, 2, 3. I will take another snap. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have some questions. Adib, would you like to take a look at the chat box?
Yeah, sure. So there is a question from Nanjiba. She's asking, what is our first step if someone hacked our system? I guess it's a broad question. I guess she's indicating that if her social media accounts or anything critical gets hacked, what she's going to do. And already there is an answer from Fatin. Like there is an, she's saying that, oh, that's good. Like this is again positive that the participants, they're answering to each other that it is. So Fatin is saying that there is a site incident response team. So that's in Bangladesh context, of course. In Bangladesh, there is incident response team. And Jason, if you want to add, like in global context, I'm not sure what can Bangladesh authorities do if there is something being hacked in someone's Facebook or maybe YouTube account. So do we have any global response team to help with that? Would you like to add on that?
I mean, I think that one of the biggest problems is because there's no government regulation or policies in place that Facebook and these institutions create the rules. And so if you do experience, and I'm assuming by you mean your system is hacked, that I'm thinking in the context of your profile is hacked, you're really at the mercy of going through their internal system, which is completely automated, you will find. In fact, even it's so automated that even in their advertiser realm, where people are paying $10,000 a day for the use of advertisement, and then something happens where they get blocked, there's nobody to even talk to. They can take months before they even get a response from Facebook. And usually not even a physical person has looked at the content, but it's all an algorithm that has gone through a process of deciding whether their account can be brought back. And so you're really at the mercy of this industry, because there's no user first mentality of how they design this technology. It's completely driven profit first. And so we are not the top priority. Our well-being is not the top priority. And your problems that you might have, that no matter how devastating they are to you, is not the priority of these tech industry leaders.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but yeah, that's the reality. Thanks, Jason. And one more quick question from Pierre. So I guess we all know Pierre. He doesn't need an introduction. So Pierre is asking that we see news articles challenging the new age verification measures in Louisiana. So recently, Louisiana passed a law about age verification. And of course, there are both kinds of opinions, both for and against. So Pierre is asking, how do you perceive the response of the media, and how we can actually get more support from this fifth state, the news media, who are always not in very favor of us? So any thoughts, Jason? You're muted, Jason.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, that's a great question. I think that when we're talking about getting challenged by having age verification, a lot of people bring up the freedom of privacy concerns. But the reality is that we have age verification in so many aspects of daily life for it to function, that a 13-year-old in America can't go in and get their driver's license. They have to show ID, and they have to be able to show certain verifications, or if they want to buy alcohol, or if they want to go to a movie theater. And what we're recognizing is that the spaces that are most exploitive online are not the spaces that are created for children. It's the spaces that are created for adults that children are by and large joining. And so especially on Instagram, it'll ask you how old you are, because you have to be, I believe, 13 years old to even open up an account. And kids much younger are just putting whatever they want into that process, and then and joining Instagram with detrimental consequences. And so I think that age verification is an absolute necessity that we need moving forward to protect children online, because we need to draw those borders so kids can be protected, especially from exploitation online, from actors that are searching out kids online to take advantage of them, because they're mixing in these spaces of adults' communication.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jason. So we might have some more questions, but in the meanwhile, we have Raphael as our next keynote speaker. So maybe we can hear from Raphael and go to the next question. And so, all right. So I guess, Lamia, now we can go to Raphael. And Jason, again, many thanks to talk to us at this hour. So we really appreciate, and hope you have a great day tomorrow. And of course, we'll be in touch. So, okay, thanks. All right, now, so maybe we can introduce Rafaela. So I have been privileged to work with her as an activist back there in Montreal. Rafaela is the founder of Stop Exploitation Hub. So she's also a graduate student. So I think we have many students attend this year. They can get inspired by her, because being a student and being, being an ordinary citizen, she actually developed a movement from the scratch to protect kids and youth. So she will talk more on that. So Rafaela, I'm handing over the floor to you.
Thank you for the introduction. I'm going to share my screen. Actually, I have to first. Let me know if you can see this.
Yeah, we can see now.
You can see it?
Yeah,
okay,
maybe
great.
you can enlarge the view in full screen, or
it is full screen.
Oh, it's coming. Okay, it's getting loaded.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, I think that I'm going to be sort of touching a lot on what Jason has set up and talked about. So I think it was a really nice transition into what I'm going to speak to you about today. But I'm going to be looking a little bit more specifically in online sexual exploitation. So my name is Rafaela, and I'm here in Canada right now. I'm not a Canadian. I'm actually from New Zealand, so I'm more from your side of the world. But I've been in Canada for about 4 years now. And a couple of years ago, I was talking with a friend, and they were talking about this idea of online sexual exploitation, and specifically about a certain company that was founded and is based here in Montreal, Canada. And
Rafaela, sorry to interrupt. I guess the screen is still loading. Is it to everyone? Like I am seeing your screen being
No,
loaded.
it is loading. I
It
think
is loading.
yeah.
Same here. It is loading.
Rafaela, if you have a downloaded version of this that you can directly share, maybe it will be better.
Oh, okay. Let's try. I don't. So let's.
Yeah, or
I'll try again. I can try again, and we'll see.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Let's do that. That's okay.
Okay. Let me know if it's up now.
Yeah, it came for a moment, then it's again being showing loading. So we did see the slides, but then it just disappeared.
Maybe we don't do the slideshow then, Adik. What do you think? We just because we see the beautiful slides on the Google slide, we can see them coming one after the other. But as soon as she does slideshow, you know.
Oh well, I can just leave them as they are.
Yeah, I think that'll be good.
Yeah, and not actually click slideshow. I could do something like that. Sorry, everybody. Okay.
No, it's all right.
You can see this, right?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I was chatting to this friend and I was hearing a lot about what was happening here in the city that I'm living in. And I wanted to kind of know what I could do to combat this, not having any experience in this realm, in this field. At the time I hadn't started my degree and I was not working. And so I investigated a little bit more and I found out more about this company. So this is a worldwide company. You might have heard of Pornhub, they're everywhere. And MindGeek are the company that own Pornhub. They're the parent company. They also own many, many different pornography websites and production companies. And they are here in Montreal. And this is the building here that you can see. And I started learning about some of these young girls' stories that were coming out. In particular, this one girl who was 14 at the time, Serena, who was sort of talking to a boy, seeing a boy, and he asked her one day to send a video of her, a nude video, and feeling pressured and feeling like he might break up with her if she didn't do it, she sent it. And lo and behold, this video ended up online and it ended up on Pornhub. And it wasn't until people were sharing it at school and things like that that she realized what had happened, and she dropped out of school. She actually couldn't even tell her family, couldn't tell her parents. She was homeless for a time, started abusing drugs and things like that to deal with this aftershock of depression, anxiety, this sort of trauma that had happened. And it was all because of this new concept of internet pornography, the idea that you don't have to go to a shop and buy this content anymore, but it is proliferated online for free. And many of the sites work like a YouTube, where anybody can upload content and it can be shared. And once something is usually uploaded on the internet, it's very, very hard to get rid of it. So she contacted Pornhub, she contacted this company again and again. She even had to pretend to be a lawyer, and she got no response. They wouldn't remove her video until many months later and many tries. But I think what I learned was that, and these are many other girls' stories, but there's so many of these stories. And I think what I learned was that this company, who are huge, have such influence over many, in many countries, and people, many users every single day, are exploiting young people, are negligent, and have illegal content. This was non-consensual pornography. This wasn't actors that had consented to perform. These were young girls who had been abused, raped, and filmed without consent, and these videos were being shared and watched online for everybody who came into contact. So some of the big problems that I discovered was that there was no proof of consent, that MindGeek were not asking if the people in the video had consented. There was no way that the people in the videos could say that they had consented or not. There was also inadequate age verification, which we've talked a little bit today about, that MindGeek didn't have a process where they were making sure that the people in the videos were of legal age, and also behind the screen, that the people watching their content were of age either. And also, MindGeek have no third-party accountability. So there's no one outside of the company that are making sure that they're following the law, that they're holding to sort of legal standards, and that they're doing all these things. And so these were just problems that I discovered, and I created a campaign in 2020 where a group of us every single week would go out and stand in front of the building, MindGeek, with signs peacefully, and let them know that we knew what they were doing in the building, and also let the cars know as they pass by who this company was. So many people would drive past and have no idea what was happening in the building. So that's when I started Stop Exploitation Hub, or in French, Arrêtez Exploitation Hub. And we are still continuing to this day. We're a non-religious, non-partisan campaign seeking to stop sexual exploitation in Canada and around the world. And our biggest goal is to raise awareness about the hosting, the profiting of non-consensual porn, child abuse and rape that's occurring on MindGeek's pornographic website, Pornhub. So people like 𝗂𝒔𝗄𝗏, people like Pia here today join us, and we do this once a month now, just to keep that momentum going. And we've seen all around the world people kind of catching on to this company and what they're doing. We were really lucky that I started this a campaign around the time that people were starting to really understand what was happening. And last year, Thailand banned Pornhub. There are many lawsuits going on in the US by young women finally having the means and the support to sue Pornhub for the content online. In Canada, we have a bill that's happening in the Senate that is trying to protect young persons' exposure to pornography and reduce that. And then worldwide, we've seen Instagram and Twitter, I think, ban and take down Pornhub's sites. So there's big changes happening. And our little campaign here in Canada is hopefully playing a small part in that. So yeah, we've been busy. We've been protesting. A few years ago, I was one of the people to write a letter to Visa and MasterCard asking them to stop processing payments for their subscription side and the ads that they process payments for. And so we've seen big changes around the world, slowly but surely. So what we want is to see the end of sexual exploitation on sites like Pornhub. There are many other sites. Pornhub is just one of them that we're targeting. And we want to educate people around us concerning this issue. And we really want to push and support the creation of new laws to protect the most vulnerable, which is our children, our young people, and women as well. So that's what we've been working on, and we've seen some wonderful change. And I think that the internet hasn't quite caught up to realize how to combat this. And so I just hope that we can continue fighting this and educating people and supporting the people in government to see this move forward and to see new laws created. So I'd love to hear what's happening in Bangladesh as well, and whether you see pornography as a major issue in your country, and kind of what's happening with that. You can connect on Facebook, on Twitter, and on our website as well. But that's just a small snippet of what we're doing here in Canada. Thank you.
Oh, so okay. So thank you, Rafaela. So as personally, I have been following you for a while, but I think now everyone here, they will get so inspired by what you have been doing. And hopefully this is just the start. This is just the starting conversation with you and the Bangladesh community, and we will be connected. And that's what I'm hearing from all right here. So thanks again. And before going to the questions, so maybe I can mention one person very quickly, Mr. Pierre Breguard. He is present here. So he's also a pioneering figure, and actually personally, he was my mentor. He was the person who actually onboarded me for this movement, along with Rafaela. So Pierre, thank you for joining. If you want to say one or two words, and you're most welcome if you feel comfortable.
Well, I'll just say I'm very happy to listen to Rafaela, that she, the best export from New Zealand to Canada, I can claim. So wonderful. What one person can do, it just shows, you know. So a little gesture, little things, you know, make a big difference. And thank you, Jason. And Mrs. The first lady that spoke was it Lamia? Mrs. 𝗂𝗂𝗏? Yes?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes? Thank you so much. Wonderful. Thank
Can
you.
I just say one little thing just to end, is that I just want to encourage the young people listening that I had no idea how to do any of this. I've never protested in my life, but it doesn't matter. I think if you have a passion and you see something that needs to change, and you have some willingness to learn and to just get out there and do it, you will make a difference. And so I encourage you to do that.
Exactly. And as a matter of fact, for me also, my first step. So I also started protesting following you. So, and many of same the story for many of us. So thank you, Rafaela, and thanks for joining at this hour. It's already a late night back there in Montreal and also in Berlin. So so we can present the certificate to Rafaela, and then we go for the question.
Yeah, let's do that. Rafaela, thank you so much. Tremendous work. And I mean, you're up against a very big force, and you're doing this. So you're inspiring. You have no idea how much you've inspired me today. We were just having some background chat, like, you know, how amazing this series of work, and especially like you come with a bang and impact, you know, just doing something right out on the streets. Amazing. So thank you.
Thank you.
𝗂𝗂𝗏, you're ready to speak.
I will take a snap now. 1, 2, 3. I will take another snap now. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, thanks all. Now the next part is panel session. Before going there, if we have any questions for Jason, Rafael, and Nova for our keynote speakers, so maybe we can quickly take those. So I assume there are some general questions. 𝗚𝗵𝗶𝗖𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗻 𝗀𝗧, she is asking how we can make the internet safer for children and young people. So I think that's what we are discussing today. Not sure if anyone wants to address it separately, but I think that's a broad question. So thanks, 𝗚𝗵𝗶. But I mean, we all are talking about that, so we will talk more on that. Is there any other question if I have missed in the chat bar? Okay, there was a question about brute force from Mehdi, but then Fatin, she already answered that. So thank you, Fatin, for your contribution. And as Ashfiya mentioned, you're also doing great work with online security. So maybe someday we will hear from you as well. All right, maybe there is no more question in the chat bar. We can make the floor open for all if you want to ask by your voice. Like since Jason and Rafael are here, it's a great opportunity for us to ask them. So any from the audience, from our co-speakers, anyone. So you can, if you want to speak, you can just click on unmute and we can help you ask the questions.
Also, we have our Facebook Live going on. So if anyone who's here want to share it with your wider network or audience, as the event is going on right now, feel free to do so. Maybe 𝗂𝗂𝗏, you can put the link of the Facebook link again here in the chat box.
Probably Nova Miss has something to say.
Yeah, I want to ask a question to Rafael and Jason, because we're in Bangladesh, we are trying to generate awareness at small scale, and you two are working at the international level. How can we connect? For example, I want to hold that banner with you, Rafaela. I want to be with you, Jason. And how can we be part of your movement, and how can we all be stronger together? Thank you.
That's such a good question, Jason.
That's a great question. You want to go first, Rafael, or I could?
No, you can. You can.
Thank you so much for the question. I think we share almost a brotherhood and a sisterhood in this movement, because what Rafael is doing, what Pierre is doing, and many others, it only happens in the context of a community and linking arms. And what I recognize too is that we all carry a strength, and we all carry a knowledge and understanding as experts in different fields. But combined with that passion and uniting together, what I'm finding is that when we actually do connect and we create those spaces to bring these, just like what you have created in this discussion, and linking arms with people around the world is incredible. From our end at Wired Human, we are always available. This is very close to our hearts, is working in community and collaboratively. At many different levels. We have partnerships that we're working with the University of Colorado. We're working with the National Center on Sexual Exploitation, Washington, D.C. We're also trying to create forums and places for leadership to join. And so if Bangladesh is interested in an international discussion of how to move forward with safety by design, I would be more than interested to connect with anybody from Bangladesh, and also to serve your vision, to be a networker for you. Pierre, for example, Beauregard was instrumental many times when I first entered this movement in connecting me with very helpful contacts. And we can't give back what we've been given, but we can give it forward. And so just know that you can reach out to me anytime, and I would love to help serve your mission and serve what the people of Bangladesh are doing. Because ultimately, I find it very unfair that in the United States, that we have policies and laws that we have forced on our trade partners with Canada and Mexico to take on the unlimited immunity that the tech industry has to be able to host even illegal content on their sites and not have any legal ramifications, but also how our values from a few men in Silicon Valley are being broadcasted across the world and indoctrinating every country's youth in their development, and taking on the values of Google and Facebook or Metaverse and all these different. So I think that being able to protect each country's sovereignty in this process, and that everybody has a voice to discuss how they want to be able to protect their children, their cultural heritage from this mass indoctrination that's coming through such few minds and thought processes is very important to me. So yes, linking arms, just know that we're always available.
Yeah, I would echo what Jason was saying about that we're all united together, and I think we all have those different strengths. You know, many people here today, their strength is in the engineering field, and so you're going to be working on different things than what someone in maybe as a lawyer or as a teacher is working on, or me, like out in the street. Like I'm not an engineer, so I have a different way of joining the cause, and so we each play our role, and we each kind of hold a different rope that's sort of pulling down this giant. That's the issue, but it takes all of us from different angles, I think, to do that. And also, I would encourage you all to find out, like, what is happening in Bangladesh, and is there is there a pornography industry? You know, who are the companies, and maybe like where you can do something about that, or protest, or I don't know. So what's happening local for you? Thank you for your support.
Yeah, indeed. So, yeah. Okay then. So by the way, so I have made strange problems in my Zoom since this morning after I update my Zoom software. So maybe I'm turning off my screen for most of the time. But again, thanks to Jason and Rafaela, and We can now go to our next part, which is the panel session. In fact, we are a little delayed for that, so I really thank the panelists for waiting. But of course, we have been hearing amazing talks from all the keynote speakers. So if there is no further question, we can go to the panel session. Is there anything else from anyone? Any other questions?
No, but the organizers just requested something. There is a feedback form shared in the chat box, and if anybody has time, they can. It would be wonderful if they can, fill up the feedback forms very short, so that we can make, better events like this in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Lamia. Yeah, that's very important, giving us feedback, and the event is for the audience, for the kids and the youth. So you really need to give us the feedback. Okay. Okay, then maybe we can start the panel session, which is the second part of our event. So we heard from Dr. 𝗂𝗏 𝗖𝗵𝗶𝗲𝗁, Rafaela, and Jason about different initiatives in Bangladesh, in Canada, in Europe, and other parts of the world about safe internet. And now we will specifically hear from some of those who are actually leading these things here in Bangladesh. So that's something I guess Jason and Rafaela were also asking, the stuff which are going on here. And we are so privileged to have three pioneering people here. So I would like to introduce one by one. Thank you, Lamia, for sharing this screen. So first we have 𝗪𝗂𝗍𝗵𝗶𝗲𝗁. So 𝗪𝗪𝗍𝗵𝗶𝗲, she is currently the Chief Executive Officer of Bangladesh Open Source Network. And she has a wide range of activities. Maybe we are familiar with BDOSN. So BDOSN has been engaging, I think, thousands or maybe millions of youth or kids across Bangladesh for technical development, for learning, and of course, online safety. Prior to this, 𝗪𝗪𝗍𝗵𝗶𝗲𝗁, she has worked for around 17 years in telecom sector in 𝗪𝗪𝗡𝗀𝗏 Limited and 𝗫𝒂𝒔𝒐𝒴𝗲. And she's involved with wide range of voluntary endeavors. So welcoming 𝗪𝗪𝗍𝒵, and thank you so much for joining us. Okay, our next speaker is Rasna Hassan Appa. So Rasna Hassan, she is currently the head of strategic, sorry for my fluctuation. So she's currently the head of strategic projects and partnerships in 𝗪𝗪𝗡𝗀 Limited. And she has 26 years of experience in development sector. She has worked in Action, Astania Mission, Telenor Group, British American Tobacco, and she has been working for 𝗪𝗪𝗡𝗀 for quite a while. And to be specific, maybe some of us know that 𝗪𝗪𝗡𝗀 is running a countrywide campaign of safe internet in partnership with PLAN International Bangladesh. And Rasna Appa and her team, they have been leading that campaign. And of course, we will talk more on that. So we really welcome you here, Rasna Appa, and we are so glad to have you here. And thanks for waiting for the additional time. And next we have Mohammed 𝗘𝘀𝗿𝗀𝗻. So Mr. 𝗘𝘀𝗿𝗀𝗻, he is currently he has been in ICT industry since 1999, and he is very well known in Bangladesh as an ICT journalist. He was formerly the president of Bangladesh ICT Journalist Forum, BITF, and currently also he leads the Technology Media Guild Bangladesh, TGMGB, which is a forum of the tech-based journalists. And importantly, he is currently the General Secretary of Internet Society Bangladesh. He is also one of the board members of Bangladesh Network Operators Group, BDNOG, member of Wikimedia Bangladesh, and member of multi-stakeholders steering group of Asia Pacific Regional Internet Conference, APRGF, and fellow of IGF faculty. So there's a lot to tell. In fact, there is a lot to tell of all about our panel speakers, and we will hear more from them. So we can start the questions then. Actually, this is a very open discussion. And one important point that we are free to use both English and Bangla. Actually, we plan to do it in our local language, but we do have our speakers joining from abroad. So we can be in any form, either English or Bangla, as you feel comfortable. So maybe we can start with Rasna Appa first. So Rasna Appa, thank you for joining again. And I had some privilege of working with you back then in 𝗪𝗪𝗡𝗀, and I still remember your passion and enthusiasm for different initiatives, social initiatives. So would you share a bit about the current endeavor that 𝗪𝗪𝗡𝗀 is running with PLAN, UNICEF, and others about safe internet? So if you can enlighten us about that, please.
Thank you, Adib, and thank you for organizing this. And good morning, good evening to all who have joined. Yes, we're very passionate about our online safety project, which has been running over 5 years now. We initially started very small, just basically to educate school children about basic safety standard, but that has grown and become quite expanded because online safety has moved as we evolved over time. In the last 5 years, we've been able to train give direct training to 2.5 million people, which is basically children, school children, children from the vulnerable community, parents and teachers and guardians. We have also created content, learning modules for different levels of communities and children with different aptitude. Because I think somebody said here, it's about making practical solution, which is befitting for the community, which makes sense for the community. So created those content as well, both in terms of educational material, training material, conversation material, and interactive material. And the third pillar, which is equally important, is educating our employees, training them, engaging them, and protecting them about online challenges. And we say this very often in our training. Buying a car is probably the easiest part, probably for some. But unless we know how to drive a car or a motorcycle or a cycle, it is impractical and very risky to hand over these devices to any child. Would you do that with your children? No, of course not. So online safety needs to have basic etiquette, guidelines, and understanding. And most importantly, parents need to be educated. And that's the reason parents are very core to our learning module. Unless parents are educated and they understand the online challenges and they have practical solution for their children, it's very difficult to create content, run it, or even have national level education material. So parents are core. So that is something that we've been doing for the last 5 years. And one last thing, every year we reach out around 33 million people through our national level campaign, mainly to give practical, hands-on guidelines, both in English and Bangla, for people to navigate through the digital space. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rasnabud. So that's impressive, really. And in fact, as Jason just put a comment, that 2 billion, that's quite impressive. And maybe I can just share that in Bangladesh, we have 20 crore. That mean, unofficially, we have almost 200 million people. So yes, there is a big youth and kids population. So we still have a lot to reach, but that's not quite inspiring. And maybe I assume 𝗘𝗚𝗿 can add more on that because she leads BGOSN, and personally, she has been involved with so many things. I have been her fan for long, maybe for the last 1 decade or so. So 𝗘𝗚𝗿, maybe we know that you have the Women in ICT endeavor, and you also have been working with Safe Internet Awareness from other initiatives. So can you share more on that?
Good morning and good evening, everyone. And it's really an honor for me to be part of such a great panel. To share my experience, I got the opportunity to work with the students from high school level, college, and universities, specifically girls students. So from my experience to working with them regarding online safety and security, from our organization, Bangladesh Open Source Network, we actively arrange and coordinate online safety and security awareness session in different schools, colleges, and universities. And in our model, what we try to do, we try to include law enforcing agency and also psychiatrists in these sessions. So what we have seen in case of online safety and security, we experience two parts of it. One is before occurring any incidents, the precaution, so that this sort of incidents do not occur. And another part of it is if any abuse or criminal activities happens, then how to deal with that, especially from the victim side and also their parents or guardians side. So what we have observed in case of teens, already Dr. 𝗚𝗏𝗄𝗻 shared the context of Bangladesh. In case of teen girls and young students, And from our experience of dealing with direct victims, we have seen that in our cultural context, many students, since many of us are running this sort of awareness campaigns and programs, both from private sector and government side, still, in spite of knowing this online safety awareness things and knowing the hygiene factor in internet, we have found that in reality, teen girls or our young girls, what they do when they are in any relationship, they become so emotional and they start to believe they will offer or share their most valuable things with the partner. They do, they start sharing their password, they start sharing their sensitive photos and information. And what happens then? Their trustworthy person start breaking the trust, and and at that moment they misuse that that trust. So as a result, the person become victims. So from our experience, we have seen that in most of the cases, our teen girls and young girls become victim of having their trust on their most trustworthy person, like their boyfriend or husband. And when that relationship breaks, and they become the victim. So from our experience, we have found that in case of this sort of campaign and awareness, it is not enough just to share the, how to maintain the online hygiene or how to remain resilient. Besides that, it is also important to share what are the do's and don'ts and what they should not do. This is number one. And another thing is, what we have found in case of any online harassment or abuse, in most of the cases in our culture, parents or guardians, when come to know about the incidents, they start blaming the victims or the person who is the victim of that abuse. So that's another problem. So from this experience in our model, we have included parents, guardians, and also school teachers, university teachers, so that they can also play a vital role in ensuring this sort of awareness. And one more point is, it is not only enough to include teachers and parents. Moreover, the law enforcing agency also should play active role. And at the same time, we have seen that in this sort of incidents, victims become psychologically very disturbed, and they also take suicidal attempt. So I believe we should also include psychiatrists and counselors in this sort of incident.
Okay, so indeed, thank you so much, 𝗀𝗂𝗄𝗏. And actually, meanwhile, something very undesirable happened. We don't know how it happened, but let's forget about that. Maybe there's a learning for us how to prevent online attacks in these Zoom sessions. But yeah, let's remain focused on the event for now. So thank you, 𝗀𝗂𝗄𝗏. And now it's time to hear from 𝗂𝘂𝗍𝗍. So 𝗂𝘂𝗍𝗍, you have been a leading journalist in Bangladesh Tech Forum or in the Bangladesh media. You also lead the Internet Society. Actually, Internet Society, we all know you have a lot of defined policies about online safety and other things. So can you share a bit about that, about the current rules, regulation, and how actually we can cope up more about online safety? And you're welcome to talk in both English or Bangladesh if you're comfortable. Thank you. So, 𝗂𝘂𝗍𝗍, are you there?
It's muted.
Oh, okay. Oh, 𝗂𝘂𝗍𝗍, you're muted here.
Oh, hold on. I think, let me change the setting. Right. I just put on stronger controls. So that's why right after the attack. That's okay. 𝗂𝘂𝗍𝗍, you should be able to, unmute.
Yeah, now it's okay. All of you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you.
Oh, oh, okay. Thank you very much, Adib bhai, and very good morning to all of you from Bangladesh also. Then actually, I'm little ill now. I have fever also, so maybe sound is maybe not very good to hear all of you.
It's
Then
good.
you
We
know
can
I
find
am okay. Thank you. Adiba already introduced me that I am involved with the Internet Society and also involved with the Technology Media Guild Bangladesh. So all of you maybe know the Internet Society work for the, our vision is like Internet for everyone, working for an open, globally connected, secure and trustworthy Internet for everyone. So maybe everyone maybe know that. Then I want to share one thing. Lastly, Nova mentioned critical issues here in Bangladesh, right? So we talked in Bengali and English. I want to share one significant thing. Last year, maybe we did some workshop in the Dhaka University female hall. Actually, আমরা ঢাকা ইউনিভার্সিটি ফিমেল হলগুলোতে সাইবার সিকিউরিটি নিয়ে কিছু প্রোগ্রাম করতে গিয়েছিলাম, ইন্টার সোসাইটি বাংলাদেশ চ্যাপ্টার এবং ঢাকা ইউনিভার্সিটি আইটি সোসাইটি মিলে। তো আমরা এখানে আসলে দেখেছি যে এরকম যে ঢাকা ইউনিভার্সিটির যে মেয়েগুলো ঢাকা ইউনিভার্সিটিতে পড়ে তারা আসলে কিরকম আসলে এরকম সাইবার থ্রেটের শিকার। আমি একটা ইন্টারেস্টিং তথ্য দিই আপনাদেরকে, সেটা হচ্ছে আমরা দেখেছি মোস্ট অফ দ্য গার্লস তারা তাদের সোশ্যাল মিডিয়ার পাসওয়ার্ড বেশিরভাগ সময় তাদের বয়ফ্রেন্ডের সাথে শেয়ার করে, বিকজ তারা মনে করে যে এটা তাদের ট্রাস্ট বাড়ায়। কিন্তু তারা আসলে জানে না যে এই শেয়ারটা যে তাকে কত রকম প্রবলেমে ফেলতে পারে। তো আমি আসলে বলতে চাচ্ছি যে ঢাকা ইউনিভার্সিটির মেয়েদের যদি আসলে এরকম একটা প্রবলেম থাকে, অন্য ইউনিভার্সিটি গুলার আসলে সিচুয়েশন কিরকম? ইটস নাম্বার ওয়ান। সেকেন্ড হচ্ছে আমরা নোভাফা কিছুটা মেনশনও করেছিল, তারপরেও আমি বিষয়টা একটু বলি, যেটা হচ্ছে আমরা আসলে এই কোভিড-19 এর কারণে কিছু স্টুডেন্টকে হঠাৎ করে ইন্টারনেটের সাথে কানেক্টেড করে ফেলেছি, বিকজ তাদের পড়ালেখার জন্য বিভিন্ন কারণে আমরা কানেক্টেড করে ফেলেছি, কিন্তু তারা জানে না আসলে ইন্টারনেট লিটারেসি মানে তাদের গার্ডিয়ানরাও জানে না এবং তারাও জানে না আসলে ইন্টারনেট লিটারেসিটা আসলে কিরকম। তারা এরকম একটা না জানা অবস্থা হঠাৎ করে পড়াশোনার জন্য যেহেতু ইন্টারনেটে চলে এসছে, এখানে আসার পরে তারা হয়তো পড়াশোনার বাইরে অনেক কিছুতে দেখা গেল যে হঠাৎ করে কোনো কিছু পপ আপ করে চলে আসলো, কোনো কিছু তারা ইন্টারেস্টেড, অন্য জায়গায় ইন্টারেস্টেড হয়ে গেছে। এখন এই ব্লেন্ডেড অবস্থায় আমরা আসলে কিন্তু বুঝতে পারছি না যে মানে এই যে নতুন জেনারেশন যারা, তাদেরকে আসলে গাইড করার আসলে উপায় কি। আমাদেরকে আসলে এই জায়গায় আমার কাছে মনে হয়, আমার প্র্যাকটিক্যাল এক্সপিরিয়েন্স যে আমাদের এই ইন্টারনেট সেফটির জায়গায় আমরা যদি আমাদের বাংলাদেশের পার্সপেক্টিভে ধরি, এই জায়গায় আমাদেরকে আসলে সবচেয়ে বেশি এমফাসিস দেওয়া উচিত যারা হঠাৎ করে আসলে ইন্টারনেটের সাথে কোঅপ হয়ে গেছে। আর যারা অলরেডি ইউজ করে তাদের সেফটি ইস্যু আমরা যখন কাজ করতে গিয়ে যেমন দেখেছি, তাদের সেফটি ইস্যু যে মোস্ট অফ দ্য টাইমস আসলে আমরা জানি না। আমাদের দেশে যদি আপনি চিন্তা করেন যে প্রবলেম গুলো আসলে কোথায়, আমাদের দেশের সবচেয়ে বেশি প্রবলেম হচ্ছে সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া। সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া বলতে যদি আমরা বাংলাদেশের পার্সপেক্টিভে ধরি, ফেসবুক। আমরা কিন্তু অন্য সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া খুব একটা যে ইউজ করি বাংলাদেশের তা না, আমাদের সবচেয়ে বেশি সমস্যা দেখবেন ফেসবুক কেন্দ্রিক। তো আমরা কিন্তু আসলে জানি না ফেসবুকে অথবা সোশ্যাল মিডিয়াতে আপনার এমন অনেকগুলো ফিচার আছে যেটা আপনি আসলে নিজে সেফ থাকতে পারেন। প্রথমত হচ্ছে আমরা হয়তো অনেকে জানি না অথবা অনেকে জেনে এটা করি না। সেকেন্ড হচ্ছে এটা যে আপনার পাসওয়ার্ডও যে আপনার 2 ফ্যাক্টর অথেন্টিকেশন আছে, অনেকগুলো ইস্যুজ আছে। মানে আমি নিজে অ্যাওয়ার হইলে কিন্তু এই যে যতগুলো প্রবলেম এই যে তিনজন আমাদের ডিসকাস করেছিল, এই প্রবলেমগুলোর অনেকগুলো সলিউশন কিন্তু আমি নিজে সলভ করে ফেলতে পারি। আমার মনে হয় 90% সলভ করা সম্ভব। আদিব ভাই, থ্যাংক ইউ আপাতত।
𝗂𝗂𝗍𝗄𝗧𝗍, thank you so much, 𝗂𝗂𝗍. And I can just translate quickly. So what 𝗂𝗂𝗍 shared us that in the youth community, he was mentioning about the University of Dhaka, which is the biggest public university in the country. And there in the residence halls, there is a tendency of password sharing, like people sharing password for using the same movie account or so. And that's quite risky, and there has been already a lot of incidents. So 𝗂𝗂𝗍 is actually a senior journalist here working for long in Bangladesh industry and Bangladesh media. So he was sharing those real head experiences that he saw there, and I guess we all can echo with that. Okay, so thank you all, and I think we had the chance to learn out from all of you that how actually you are addressing this thing from your own arena. Now, if we can come to the challenges part, so 𝗂𝗂𝗍, maybe we can start with you now. So in the reverse order, in last September or October, I assume, Action 8 presented a survey report which showed that 65% women reported about online harassment. So that's quite alarming. And it was 56% back in 2021. So if there is such concern from majority of the women in the country about online harassment or they are not safe online, so how we can actually deal with that? We do have our ICT laws, we have other laws. So আমাদের কারেন্ট যে আইন আছে, আমাদের যে কারেন্ট যে আইন প্রয়োগকারী সংস্থা তাদের যে প্রসেস, সেটা কি এনাফ অর আমাদের কি আরেকটু কিছু করার সুযোগ আছে? সো কাউসার ভাই, if you can talk on that.
ধন্যবাদ আদিব ভাই। আবার অ্যাকচুয়ালি হচ্ছে এখনকার আপনার যে স্ট্যাটিস্টিক্স দেখেন, এখন হয়তো বলছে যে অনেক বেশি অনলাইন হ্যারাসমেন্ট হচ্ছে মেয়েদের অথবা কিডসদের। এইটা আসলে অনেক বেশি হচ্ছে, এটার একটা কারণ হচ্ছে তো আমরা আসলে ইন্টারনেট অনেক ইউজার আমাদের বেড়েছে। আমি এর আগে একবার বললাম যে যারা মানে হঠাৎ করে আসলে ইন্টারনেটে আসার কথা না তারা চলে আসছে। কিন্তু আরো একটা বড় কারণ হচ্ছে এখন কিন্তু মিডিয়া অনেক বেশি এই জিনিসটাকে সামনে নিয়ে আসে। একটা সময় হয়তো এরকম হয়েছে কিন্তু সেটা সামনে আসে না, এই কারণে এখন দেখবেন স্ট্যাটিস্টিক্স আসলে বড়। এখন এই যে যারা এরকম একটা প্রবলেম হলে, আমাদের বড় সমস্যা আমরা কাজ করতে গিয়ে দেখেছি, এরকম একটা প্রবলেম হলে সে আসলে কার কাছে যাবে? আপনি যেটা বললেন যে আইন কি আসলে পর্যাপ্ত কিনা, প্রথম হচ্ছে ওই যে আসলে ভিকটিম সে আসলে জানেই না যে সে প্রথম এরকম প্রবলেম হলে সে কার কাছে যাবে। তারপর হচ্ছে যে আসলে ভিকটিম আমরা যাকে বলছি সে হয়তো জানে না যে আপনি একটা জিনিস, এরকম একটা জিনিস শেয়ার করলেই যে সে একটা অপরাধী হওয়ার মতো সুযোগ আছে। তার মানে হচ্ছে ইন্টারনেট লিটারেসি নাই, ইন্টারনেট লিটারেসির একটা বড় অভাব। অ্যাওয়ারনেসের একটা বড় অভাব হচ্ছে সে যে জানে না যে আমি আরেকজনের একটা কন্টেন্ট যদি শেয়ার করি তাহলে আমি অপরাধী, এটা সে জানে না। সেকেন্ড হচ্ছে সে আসলে একজন প্রবলেমে পড়লে সে কার কাছে যাবে এটা সে জানে না। স্টিল আমরা কিন্তু ঢাকা শহর এবং ঢাকার বাইরে বিভিন্ন জায়গায় আমরা কাজ করেছি, আমরা দেখেছি যে আসলে কিন্তু মানুষ জানে না যে আমি আসলে এরকম একটা প্রবলেম হলে সে আসলে করে কি, যে একটা প্রবলেমে পড়লো সে তার সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া থেকে স্ট্যাটাস হয়তো দিয়ে দেয় যে আমি এরকম একটা সমস্যা পড়েছি, কিন্তু এটা আসলে কোনো আইনগত ভিত্তি কিন্তু নাই। আইনগত ভিত্তি হচ্ছে ইউ শুড বি গো ইন এনি পুলিশ স্টেশন টু একটা জিডি করতে হবে আপনাকে, অথবা একটা আইনগত প্রসেসে যাইতে হবে, এটা জানে না। এটা আমাদেরকে জানানোর আসলে ধরেন যে আমরা ফোরাম অথবা বিভিন্ন ভাবে আসলে যত বেশি স্প্রেডে আমরা এটা জানাইতে পারি, এটা একটা। সেকেন্ড হচ্ছে ল হয়তো আমাদের যেটা আছে অনেক ল হয়তো পারমিট করে। আমি নোভাফার বক্তব্যে দেখলাম যে উনি বলেছে কতগুলো কেস আসলে ইয়ে করে। আমাদের আসলে পুলিশ ইকুইপ না, আমাদের ট্রাইব্যুনাল ইকুইপ না। এখন ধরেন আমরা প্র্যাকটিক্যালি যেটা দেখেছি সেটা হচ্ছে বেশিরভাগ ক্ষেত্রে পুলিশের কাছে যখন এরকম কেস যায়, একটা সময় কিন্তু ইন্টারেস্টিং এখন কিন্তু বেড়েছে, একটা সময় এইরকম যদি কোনো কেস হইতো সাইবার রিলেটেড কোনো কেস হলে আপনাকে এটা ঢাকাতেই মামলা করতে হতো। এখন কিন্তু অনেক পুলিশ ডিবি অনেকেরই কিন্তু এরকম উইং আছে, আপনি চাইলে ঢাকার বাইরে অনেক জায়গায় আসলে এটা করতে পারেন। এখন প্রবলেম হচ্ছে আমাদের পুলিশের কাছে প্রথম যখন যায় পুলিশ বলে যে ভাই এটা তো আমি বুঝি না, তুমি আসলে নিজেরা এটা আসলে সলিউশন করতে পারি কিনা। যখন দেখে যে এটা কোনো উপরের মহলের চাপ আছে, এটা আছে, তখন হয়তো তারা মামলা নেওয়ার চেষ্টা করে। এই কারণে দেখবেন যে আমাদের এই রিলেটেড মামলার সংখ্যাও কম। এট সেম টাইম আবার যখন মামলাগুলো আসে এই মামলাগুলো কিন্তু রিজলভ হয় না। যে জাজ তারও তো আসলে ওই জ্ঞান নাই যে এটা ইয়ে করবে, ইনভেস্টিগেট করবে, তার ওই জ্ঞান নাই। তো আইন হয়তো এখনো পর্যন্ত আমাদের দেশে যতটুকুই আছে এইটুকুই আসলে পালন করার মতো আসলে অবস্থা নাই। তো এই কারণেই এই জিনিসটা হচ্ছে না। বাট অন্য দেশের গুলার পার্সপেক্টিভ তুলনা করে হয়তো আমাদের আইন আরো ইয়ে করা যায়। বাট আমাদের এক্সিস্টিং ল যদি আসলে এবং ল এনফোর্সমেন্ট এজেন্সি যদি আসলে ঠিক মতো কাজ করে, তারা যদি ইকুইপড হয়, তাহলে আমার কাছে মনে হয় এটা আসলে মানে অনেক কিছু অনেকভাবে কমানো সম্ভব।
Nishande. So thank you, Ковсаров bhai, and thanks again for your nice summary. So Ковsarov was just sharing us that there are laws and there are some mechanisms in Bangladesh, but there are two things. Firstly, now things are more getting reported. Maybe previously we did not have much news about online stuff because of there was not much online news. But now we hear more, which is actually good. We can learn more. At the same time, we need to improve our laws and regulation. So thank you, Ковsarov. And Rasnapa, you want to add here? In fact, I was going to come back to you for the next question, but you want to add here something, so please go ahead. Yeah.
I think wise people think alike. First of all, I support everything Ковsarov has said, but I'll add to a few of the things to what you have already said. One is we actually we have laws, but those laws are more adult specific. We don't have child-friendly laws in terms of what happens if a victim is a child, or what happens when the perpetrator is a child himself or herself. I think there are laws that need to be in place. Second, there is no substitute for learning. And that is the reason from GP we are working with the government so that child online safety is integrated into national curriculum. Every child need to understand. I think one of the co-panelists talked about there is no substitute of learning. I think that's where everybody needs to be taken on board. Anybody who is in mainstream or anybody who is off stream. We need to bring all children, young adults into this conversation where they're at least aware what is doable, what is not acceptable. That's second. And the third is, let's not segregate the rules for online and offline. Would we meet a stranger and give the person my home key? No. Then why would we give password? So there needs to be very, very clear connection between our offline behavior and online behavior. And these are safety features, education, knowledge that needs to be taught. There is one thing we always say, "Amra jani na, amra ki jani na." Okay, we actually don't know what we don't know. We need to understand very clearly what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. Thank you.
Indeed, Rasna, and that term actually says it all. Amra jarina janashni ki jarina amra ki janti chai. So to tell Anish, we don't know what we actually need to know. So we are, I want to create for our own shake and take a start for that's so important. And on that note, maybe now request Kani-sapu to share more on that because since you work extensively with kids and youth across the country, so how we can start the awareness? So there are a lot of things, a lot of different initiatives from BUET and others, but how we actually feed safe internet there? So Kani-sapu, any thoughts on that?
Thank you, 𝗏𝑆𝑓 Bhai. Already, Kausar Bhai and Rasnapa have covered most of the parts. So I will second Rasnapa's points. I totally agree with her. It's a must to include online safety and security issue in national textbook curriculum. And then equal level awareness for parents and teachers, so that in case of any incidents or victim case, parents and teachers do know what to do. So these are the two main points from my side.
Okay, thank you, Apu. So yeah, that's so important. And Rasnapa, you want to add something more on that?
Yes, one thing which is very, very important. Individually, on individual level or campaign level, we need to stop victim shaming. We need to put the victim under the spotlight. This is something that we go to. We've worked with 500 schools. In most of the cases, girls are victimized and they are shamed for an action they've done which they have no clue about, or they've actually done it with the genuineness of the heart. As a nation, we need to stop doing victim shaming in this case. Thank you.
Yeah, indeed, absolutely. And that's something we need to work on, that victim blaming. If something happens, then blaming the victim, they are dressed, they are that's totally wrong. I mean, in any way, we have to focus on the abuser. So maybe what is often said that we don't need to know who was abused, we don't need to know who is the abuser, we need that name. So we need to focus on that. Okay, so it's been really an exciting discussion and we are gradually coming to the ending part. So maybe we can ask all of you to share some message for the youth. So we are having this event here hosted by North-South University. We have a big youth audience and we are sharing
Recording stopped.
I think we lost Adib's net connection again, but I think what Adib was trying to request our respected panelists is if you could share some, points of hopes for our new generation. And there we have a majority of student audience here who would really, really love to contribute in this field from their own way, in their own way. Most of them are from computer science, electrical computer science background, but if you could kindly also tell them where they can start their, the contribution in that field. That would be great.
I can go first if that's okay with my fellow panelists.
Yes.
I've seen a lot of hope. I've seen a lot of successes while in my last 5 years of journey. And the best stories are the one when people stand up against bullying, when people stand next to their friends and stop this kind of behavior. So the power is in our hands. Whoever we are, wherever we are, we can stand up and we can support somebody who is maybe a bit weaker to voice the challenge that he or she is facing. Or maybe her circumstances are different than ours. So stand up. There are a lot of good cases and a lot of celebration we do when that happens. And the best message I'll give is the power is in your hands. The power is in our hands. So all the best and thank you.
Thank you. This is definitely, I think we all of us, we need to hear that, because many of the times my students have come to me very worried about what you mentioned, Rasta ma'am, regarding the very deep-rooted culture of victim shaming, that it's also widespread in places where they were supposed to get support in professional arenas, such as therapists or doctors or people who our young generation go to for support regarding situations they face. But the victim shaming, you can feel it from them, right? So it's good to hear. I think it's really good for all of us to hear that, no, there are also other adults working in these cases where they believe that, that's not the right path. Thank you. Kanis, Fatima ma'am or Kausar sir, would you like to share something?
আচ্ছা, আমি একটা জিনিস আসলে শেয়ার করতে চাই, সেটা হচ্ছে আমরা আসলে দেখবেন যে আমাদের সবারই অলমোস্ট ফেসবুক, যদি আমি বলি, আমাদের যেহেতু বেশিরভাগ জিনিস ফেসবুক কেন্দ্রিক, দেখবেন যে প্রায় 5,000-এর মতো সবার ফেসবুক ফ্রেন্ড লিস্টে আছে, অলমোস্ট 5,000। এর মধ্যে ফিজিক্যালি সে জানে এরকম সংখ্যা আমার ধারণা 50%-এর কম হবে, সে নরমালি জানে। কিন্তু আমি অনেককে জানি না, তাকে আসলে আমি আমার ফেসবুক ফ্রেন্ড লিস্টে ইনক্লুড করেছি। এর মধ্যে খুব অদ্ভুত অনেক কিছু নামও আছে দেখবেন। কারো দেখবেন যে সে নীল আকাশের তারা, রাতে ঘুম আসে না, এরকম টাইপের। আসলে কি আমার কি আসলে খুব প্রয়োজন যে আসলে তাকে ফেসবুকে আমাকে ফ্রেন্ড লিস্টে অ্যাড করা? এটা একটা বিষয়। হচ্ছে কারো ঘুম আসে না, তাকে কি আসলে আমি কি ঘুম আনার কোনো ব্যবস্থা করার আমার কি আসলে দরকার কিনা? ফার্স্ট অল আমাকে আসলে এটাকে চিন্তা করতে হবে। এটা হচ্ছে একটা ইস্যু। সেকেন্ড হচ্ছে আমরা আসলে ফেসবুকে এমন কোন সোশ্যাল মিডিয়াতে এমন তথ্য আমরা আসলে নিজের সম্পর্কে দিই, এখন দেখা যাচ্ছে সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া আমার থেকে আমার সম্পর্কে অনেক বেশি জানে। দেখবেন যে আমি নিজে যতটুকু জানি তার থেকে সে বেশি জানে। কারণ হচ্ছে আপনি পাশে দেখবেন আপনার অ্যাড আসে, এটা আসে, এটা আপনাকে আসলে সে অ্যানালাইসিস করে এই কাজটা করে। তো আমরা আসলে এমন অনেক ব্যক্তিগত তথ্য শেয়ার করি, এটা আসলে শেয়ার করার দরকার কিনা, এটা আমার কাছে, আমাদের এখানে যেন নর্থ সাউথের স্টুডেন্টরা আছে, আমার কাছে মনে হয় তাদের এটা ভাবা উচিত। এখন আসলে সময় এরকম, তারা হয়তো মনে করে যে আমার এই তথ্য প্রকাশ করলে আমার ফ্রেন্ডরা দেখতেছে, অন্যরা দেখতেছে। আসলে কিন্তু আপনি খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট একটা বিষয় হচ্ছে, আপনি সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া অথবা ইন্টারনেটে কোনো একটা জিনিস যদি একবার আপলোড করেন, আপনি হয়তো ভাবছেন যে এটা আপনি ডিলিট করে দিচ্ছেন। এটা নেভার ডিলিটেড ইট, এটা সামহাউ কোনোভাবে এটা আসলে থেকে যাচ্ছে। এটা আপনাকে চিন্তা করতে হবে। সো নিজে সেফ থাকার প্রথম কথা হচ্ছে সব ব্যক্তিগত তথ্য প্রকাশ করার দরকার নাই, যাকে তাকে আপনি ফ্রেন্ড লিস্ট করার দরকার নাই। এখনই যদি পারেন আপনি বাছাই করা শুরু করেন যে আমার আসলে সব ফ্রেন্ড লিস্ট দরকার কিনা।
Thank you. Great. Oh, Ali, you're back. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry for the technical difficulty. I got disconnected due to internet issue, but thank you Kausar bhai. এই জিনিসটা একদম ঠিক যেটা আপনি বললেন যে যখন সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া এসেছিল আমরা ভেবেছিলাম আমরা আরো কানেক্টেড হব। অফকোর্স উই আর মোর কানেক্টেড, আজকে যে আমরা ইভেন্টটা করছি আমরা সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া থেকে যোগাযোগ করেছি, বাট ওই মার্জিনটা রাখা আছে আসলে আমরা কোন পর্যায়ে কোন শেয়ার করবো, কোন পর্যায়ে কোন করবো না। সো অনেক ধন্যবাদ। সো আমরা মেসেজ ফর ইউথ, এটা যেটা আমরা কাউসার কাছ থেকে শুনলাম, and I think Kanis আপু is left, so maybe আপু আপনি যদি একটু শেয়ার করেন আপনার মেসেজ। You are always addressing the youth across the country, so আজকে আপনার একটা টেক অ্যাওয়ে মেসেজ ফর দ্য ইউথ অডিয়েন্স here, please.
Well, my number one suggestion for the audience who are listening to us, the students, would be, let us encourage our friends, and family members to maintain the online hygiene so that we can remain safe and secured. Also, when we are in the virtual world, this would be the number one. And number two, if you ever notice any incidents, if you or any of your friends face any abuse, online crime, or you become victim, immediately at first share with your parents or reliable guardian or with your teachers whom you can really rely on, and then with their help or support, report to law enforcing agency. And just to share with the all of the audience who have joined from outside of Bangladesh, in Bangladesh, we have dedicated police department who are working on cyber crime. They are really active and very helpful. And we have option to report to them through mobile app, through their website. And there is also their 24/7 hotline. So for the youth, if you observe this sort of incident, in case of you or your friend, just report to them with support of your teacher or parents or any guardian. So this is from my side.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kaan. Ksawthri, you want to add something more?
Yeah, finally, আমি আসলে এখানে স্টুডেন্টরা তো কানেক্টেড না আদিব ভাই?
হ্যাঁ, মোস্টলি
আমি একটা জিনিস আসলে ফাইনালি বলতে চাই, আমি যখন ইন্টারনেট ইউজার হব, আমি মানে এটা অনেক সময় আমি বলি ইউ শুড বি এ স্মার্ট ইউজার। স্মার্ট বলতে আমরা আসলে যে স্মার্ট বলছি এটা না, সেফটি ফার্স্ট। আপনি নিজে নিরাপদ থাকবেন, এইভাবে আপনি ইন্টারনেট ইউজ করবেন। মানে আমি বলি মিটিং পিপল, নট অনলি ইন অনলাইন, ইন পার্সন অলসো। আপনি শুধু একজন লোককে অনলাইনে চিনেন, তাকে আসলে আপনি ফিজিক্যালিও চিনেন কিনা এটা চিন্তা করবেন। মিটিং পিপল, এতে আমরা বলি অ্যাকসেপ্টিং ইমেইলস, ফ্রেন্ডস রিকোয়েস্ট, কাকে আপনি কোন ইমেইল আপনি অ্যাকসেপ্ট করবেন, কোন ফ্রেন্ড অ্যাকসেপ্ট করবেন, এটা আপনাকে চিন্তা করতে হবে। রিলায়েবিলিটি অফ ইনফরমেশন, আপনি যে আর হচ্ছে রিলায়েবিলিটি অফ ইনফরমেশন, আপনি যে ইনফরমেশন পাচ্ছেন সেই ইনফরমেশন রিলায়েবল কিনা, আপনি এটা আসলে সঠিক কিনা এটা যাচাই করে তারপরে এটা শেয়ারও করতে পারেন অথবা এটা বিশ্বাস করতে পারেন। ফাইনালি হচ্ছে যাই কিছুই ঘটুক, এটা কিডস এর ক্ষেত্রে সবচেয়ে ইম্পর্টেন্ট, টেল ইউর গার্ডিয়ান। এর থেকে ভালো আপনাকে আসলে কেউ ভালোবাসে না। আপনাকে চিন্তা করতে হবে আপনি আপনার গার্ডিয়ানের সাথে যেন এই জিনিসগুলো শেয়ার করতে পারেন। ফাইনালি
don't be so emotional, and it is not required to share your password, your private photos or sensitive information with your loved one to prove your love or care for that person. Rather, let us be smart and let us learn how to maintain our own safety and security. That's my final request to our young children and especially girls.
Indeed. Okay, thank you. And Rastapa, any final remark before we before we go to Q&A?
Adib, it's a fantastic opportunity to be here. Thank you once again. My 2 pence will be empathetic. There is understand that everybody is going. Real life যেটা আমরা বলি না, অনলাইনেও বলার দরকার নেই। যেটা রিয়েল লাইফে করি না সেটা অনলাইনেও করার দরকার নেই। And the last thing and the most important thing is it is a fantastic opportunity. Technology gives is to learn, be equal. That's what we say. Thank you.
Indeed, thank you. So it's been amazing to hear from you all. Thank you, Rastapa, Ksawthri, and Ksawthri. So should we go to the Q&A or we should share the certificates first? Lamia, which one do you prefer? Okay, so maybe we can go for the Q&A first. Do we have any question in the chat bar for our honorable panelists, or maybe for since now all of us are here, Jason and Rafaela, they are still here, so thanks to them. It's been true.